Hello everyone, welcome to our fourth installment of ViVentor P2P Webcast. My name is Andris Blašaitis, I'm the CEO of SIA ViVentor, and today we have a special edition about our situation. We will cover two topics that are really hot that we see on the forums and on the discussion groups, and in general the situation on the uh, let's say how our investors are feeling right now. So these are two topics about the situation with funds in transit and in general what is happening with our loan originators. So this webcast is dedicated to these topics. For this reason, to save time and to concentrate exactly on these topics, I'm here by myself. Last times we were together with investors and with loan originators, so this time I will be talking myself, but I will answer all the questions that we had from Slido, and I will touch upon each loan originator and how they are dealing with the situation and what is the current status of their funds in transit. Yeah, so as a starting point, I will shortly show about activities on ViVentor platform, and then we will move on to a situation about each loan originator, and finally we will go through the Slido questions. Yeah. So latest activity since we last spoke is, of course, we were working on improving our feature of funds in transit and our feature of loan extensions. Talking about funds in transit, it's a feature that we implemented on the 1st of April, and we implemented it for all our loan originators. It means that until we receive funds as a company from a loan originator, we are not crediting these funds in advance to investors. So investors see these funds as in transit until they are received on our account. In normal circumstances, it shouldn't take long time to transfer these funds because loan originators are basically collecting funds from the borrowers and paying on time. But in current situation, when the financial status of each loan originator is not as expected because they receive a lot of loan extension requests because some customers are not paying on time and they have to still work out the buyback guarantees that they had on our platform towards our investors. This situation leads to a status of funds in transit, and for some loan originators, as you will see, it's not so easy to cover that debt. But also, as you will see, that all of them are working hard to work this out because also this is important question from many investors that we are getting asked from time to time is if funds in transit is a free loan to loan originators or is it actually a loan with interest. So of course it is a loan with interest. All of the funds in transit that you currently have, we are accounting interest for it. Unfortunately, we are not able to show it to you right now, but I think next week we will implement a feature where you will be able to see how much interest has been accrued for each of your investments that is currently in transit, and how much money you will get eventually when the funds are repaid. So for each day of delay, interest is calculated, but we are just not able to show it right now because, as I said, maybe previously also that we implemented this feature in a hurry, just the core functionality to have these funds in transit, but all the supporting features like reporting and display of interest we are adding now as we go. The same goes actually for loan extensions. We implemented a feature of loan extensions also a while ago, but we first only technically were able to process requests for loan extensions for loans that are payday loans. Payday loans are loans with only one installment, and for loans that are installment loans which have multiple installments, we are able to process them also only from now on. So some of the loan extension requests from loan originators were rejected not because we didn't want to extend their loans and help them to deal with their financial situation, but also because of our technical capabilities. So now we will be able to do it. And currently only one loan originator, Quico, who has a specific repayment schedule, which is neither payday loans, neither it's installment loans, but it's not regular installments. It's a custom schedule. And for us, it is technically also difficult right now to extend the loans. So for now, we are still working this out. So there are no loan extensions for Quico right now, although they are asking us, but we cannot process it. And also, loan extensions, of course, means that investors will get interest for the period of time when loans are extended. And it just in your view as investor, both funds in transit and loan extensions means that you are extending the repayment for the loan originator to whom you lent the money, and they are paying for a longer schedule, but they are paying with interest. So that's the deal with these two features. Another thing we did is, of course, as many companies right now, is cost cutting. Fortunately, we were able to maintain our existing personnel that we have right now. It's not a big team, but it's good that we are all together, working remotely. We did put a cost-cutting complete stop on our marketing expenses, which is also in line with a letter that we got from a regulator in Latvia. I will talk a little bit about that in bullet number 5 in this slide. Also, of course, we are now on daily communication with loan originators. We're not so much focusing right now on onboarding new ones. There are some in the pipeline, but mostly we are working on communicating and trying to get as much as possible information about the status of each loan originator, and basically working out the repayment plans and how they're going to cover the outstanding debt to our investors. That's the daily activity what we're doing with loan originators right now. And coming back to the topic previously, what I told is about that we are continuing our path towards the license for financial brokerage company. We have prepared documents for application, and just now are in communication with the regulator in Latvia, the Financial Capitals Commission, and they actually sent us a letter, which I think they sent to. It looks like it should have been sent to all companies that are applying for this license right now. It says that basically until we receive this license, we should focus all our. They think that companies should focus mostly on preparing the company for the license and preparing the processes and legal documentation for it, rather than focus on marketing expenses. So we are doing just that. We cut costs of absolutely all costs on marketing. Today is actually the day when our referral program is ending, and we will not be prolonging it until we get back on track with the license. And this means that the referral program is right now stopped, and also we will not be doing any external marketing activities for a while, at least until we get a positive approval for a license. And what we will do instead, we will focus mostly all our activities on getting back the funds in transit from loan originators for existing investors, and on preparing our company for the financial brokerage company license. I, of course, invite all our counterparties in this market to do the same, because I think it is important for all of us to be consistent and in line with the regulatory requirements. And yeah, so this is the shortly overview of our latest activities on ViVentor platform. And now let's jump into the situation with loan originators. So starting with Atlantis. Here's a short overview of this company. It's founded in and business operating in Netherlands. It's founded in 2013. On ViVentor, we have partnerships since 2017. We actually had a webcast. Our first webcast was with Atlantis Financiers. You can check it on our YouTube page. If you like to learn more about their latest activities in more detail. Atlantis operates an invoice financing business. They are buying invoices from customers and financing them up front, and then receiving money on the due date from the debtor. Average investment rate for ViVentor investors from Atlantis is 14%, and Atlantis currently has 2.5 million euros available for investment on ViVentor platform. So it's quite a lot of money on primary market still available. What has been latest activity with Atlantis Financiers since during last few weeks? Atlantis has applied for loan extensions, as probably most of our loan originators. With funds in transit status, we see that they are in line. In line means that they are paying for all settlements that we send them. I mean, we have still daily settlements, so whenever we ask them to pay for settlements, they pay on schedule. In addition, almost all Atlantis invoice financed loans are covered by Atlantis insurance, meaning that even if the borrower doesn't pay on time for the not the borrower but the debtor doesn't pay on time at the end of the period, the Atlantis company will pay to the company. So it is extra security for our investors. I know that in Slido questions there were some questions about what measures our loan originators are taking to provide extra security, and there will be some more questions about Atlantis in the next slide, so I'll come back to those later. And here is the situation about portfolio status of Atlantis Financiers on ViVentor, and also the status of their funds in transit. So we will actually go through each loan originator in the same manner, showing the latest activity overview, and then we'll go to portfolio overview on ViVentor platform and the number of funds in transit. So we have virtually all portfolio of Atlantis Financiers is current. It's not late, and it is right now, as you see, 5.7 million euros. And there are no funds in transit for Atlantis because they never they always collect more funds from investors, like new investments, rather than they have to pay back. So virtually every day they don't have any funds in transit towards investors right now. So here's the situation with them. Later, I think we will share these slides with you so you can take a longer look at these numbers and to make your own decisions or calculations on this. So I will not be stopping here for a longer time. Next ones are Forza and Kreddy companies. These are companies from Bosnia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Companies have been founded in 2016, and partnership with ViVentor is since last year. This is one company operating two brands, Forza and Kreddy. These are personal payday loans and installment loans, respectively. Average investment rate on ViVentor platform is 12%, and currently we have 210,000 euros available for investment. Company has applied for loan extensions on ViVentor platform, and currently funds in transit status is not in line. We're still expecting funds to be paid. It actually is not because the company cannot pay us on time, but purely for technical reason, because Bosnia is outside the Eurozone and also outside the European Union area. And since our settlement account where we keep our investors' money is held in a payment institution and not in a bank, it is not possible right now to pay directly from Bosnia to a payment institution in a Euro country. So this is like a technical problem that we have, but we already resolved this problem through a transfer for mother company of Bosnia, which is in Europe, and we are already, let's say, waiting for the funds to arrive, which should come in the really coming days from now. I cannot say exactly, but it's should be covered in full by the end of next week. I also have a few notes from manager of Bosnia company, which I would like to share with you. He mentioned that due to COVID-19, all operations in branches were reduced, of course, because of lack of restrictions for physical contact, but online business remains operative and accessible for clients in all channels. They have increased some risk criteria to protect the company from liquidity problems with customers and with the customers' employment in the future. Repayment status remains good and no significant effect on that side is seen by the company right now. They have even made donations to major medical centers in the country. Overall, they see the situation is calming down. Operations are growing. Probably June will still be on the lower side, but starting from July, they should see they see that business should continue as usual. So this is message that you get from the manager of Forza and Kreddy. And now we can jump into the numbers of Forza and Kreddy. So currently we have half of the portfolio in current state and 38% is delayed. And 12% is delayed by 31 to 60 days. As you see from the chart of funds in transit, the company has currently a debt that has grown since April 1st. But as I said, we have found a solution to cover this debt technically and for future payments, of course. And the debt of funds in transit will be covered within the coming days. At least that is the promise that we got from the company. And as I mentioned in the beginning, this period of funds in transit will be with interest. So all investors will receive interest for the days that are in transit. Interest will be at the same rate at which the loans were invested at. So basically, you're not losing any money and not losing any interest. Okay, moving forward, Moment Kredit. Moment Kredit is a company funded company in Lithuania. They have businesses in other countries as well, but we in ViVentor operate only with a company from Lithuania, which was founded in 2007, and we have a partnership with them since 2018. They also operate in personal payday and installment loans with interest rates for investments up to 12%, and currently have 35,000 euros of loans available for investment. This number might be different because it's a small number, and this information was prepared yesterday. So if you don't find any loans or so don't let's say know this fact that this is not the let's say last minute information here. What has been going on with this company? So yes, they also applied for loan extensions for us, and we see that the funds in transit state with them is in line with our activities, meaning that they are paying for all settlements on time. There has been a moratorium in Lithuania, governmental moratorium, which allows to extend loans for up to 3 months, and they did that and extended their loans for majority of their customers, and requested to extend the loans reflecting those loans extensions on ViVentor platform. So that we did, but not yet in full. So some extensions are still coming, and this week Moment Kredit loans will be extended for 3 months with interest, as I explained previously, of the same rate at which the investment was made. the company has requested to inform you that they're ready to discuss premature buybacks of claims with approximately 13% discount. So if you are a big holder of Moment Credit loans and wish to not wait for 3 months with 12% interest, but rather receive your money faster, the company is ready to sell, to buy back those claims at a 13% discount. We can operate that on a secondary market, basically. So, but if you'd like to make some kind of deal or get in touch with this company, so reach out to us and we will facilitate this for you. Here are the numbers of Moment Credit from the situation. Here you see that most of loans are delayed. This situation will change when we will extend the full of their portfolio. You will see them as current because their payment date will be postponed. So currently this is the state. And on the right side, you see the chart of funds in transit. So this dynamic chart shows that basically they are paying back all of their settlements. If you see that the settlements are covered but are not covered up to zero, it's because when they are covered, some new settlements are already originating because we are operating on a weekly settlement basis. So this means that during the week when they pay, some new debts are already rising. That's why it's not always covered up to zero. And but as you see from the chart, some repayments are always made when we request for them to be done. Okay. Forza Moldova, it's a company founded in Moldova in 2016, and we have recent partnership with them since January this year. They operate in a personal payday loans business with average investment rate of 12% and currently have 500 euros only of loans available on the primary market. So the portfolio in general of Moldova is still really small. They haven't applied for loan extensions for us. Funds in transit are still not covered for us. It is exactly the same problem as I explained previously with Bosnia, which we resolve in a similar manner. And the situation with the funds in transit for Moldova will be resolved in the nearest coming days as well. They actually will cover in full their debt to ViVentor platform, meaning that to our investors, which is currently 28,000 euros. So the plan is like that, and here is the situation with Forza MD. As you see, they are loans. The majority of the loans are delayed, but they are planning to pay back in full their whole portfolio, both in transit and non in transit, during next week. So after next week, there shouldn't be any loans left on the ViVentor platform from Forza Moldova for now. Later, when they get back on track, they will come back with new loans on the platform. So nothing much to add here. Kreditų Centras. Kreditų Centras is a company in Lithuania, which was founded in 2009, and we have partnership for them since 2018. It's a personal installment loan business with average investment rate of up to 9%. And currently we have 12,000 loans, 12,000 euros of loans available on the primary market from Kreditų Centras. They haven't applied for loan extensions, and we see that the current status of the company is in line. They are able to cover all the debt, which you can see from the charts here. Half of the portfolio is in current state and half is in delay, but we don't see any reason why they should be any alerts raised right now for this company. As you see from the chart, they are paying for funds in transit on time, and in our opinion, right now the company is in a good state. Moving on, we have Monify. Monify is a company in Latvia. they have also businesses in multiple countries, but we do business only with a company in Latvia. They have been founded in 2017, and we have partnership with Monify since 2019. It is an installment loans for businesses, business installment loans company with average investment rate of 14%. They currently have 26,000 euros of loans available for investment on the primary market. They have applied for loan extensions, and we see that in currently we have funds in transit which are in line, although the number of debt is growing. Actually, the last date here on the right side is missing. It's 4th of May. On 5th of May, they actually made a repayment, so it's back again. And although the funds in transit is growing, but it is growing because of the growing number of repayments that they have to do, and not so many in new investments that they are collecting. So in general, you as investors shouldn't feel that you have funds in transit from this company for a long time. It should be rolling healthily. So please check your investment accounts, and if you have any questions about this company, feel free to contact us and we can answer any questions you may have. Coming back to portfolio of Monify, you see that more than half of the portfolio is in current state, and we have 20% of loans that are delayed for 1 to 30 days, and 22% of loans that are delayed for 31 to 60 days. I have talked to manager of Monify multiple times. He mentioned that they have made significant cost cutting on marketing, on even cost cutting on employees on employee side, and they are mainly turn the company into collecting state company, so they are collecting their portfolio and repaying back to the creditors. So, and in this case, they can support the business because, of course, they are lending money at a higher rates than they are borrowing from ViVentor. So, out of this margin, they are, and out of their funds that they have accumulated over time, they are running the business for now. So, they're still in this collecting mode state, but hopefully, they will be able to get back on the growth track in the nearest future. Ibankar. Ibankar, as you maybe also saw, was on our webcast a few weeks ago. We were together with Alex from Ibankar, and we discussed how they are dealing with the situation in the country. So feel free to take a look at that. I think we will leave a link to this webcast in the comments, or you can see otherwise the video on our YouTube channel. So the Ibankar is a company from Spain. It was founded in 2014, and we have partnerships since 2018. It is a personal and business loans it is a business of personal and business loans with vehicles as collateral. So that means that they are not a leasing company, which might look like that. They are basically a consumer loan company which issues loans for people and businesses with their vehicles, existing vehicles, as collateral. And if the person or a business is failing to pay on time and they need to collect the funds, so they actually collect the vehicle that is collateralized towards them, and then they sell that vehicle on auction. And yeah, that's the business model of this company. In the ViVentor platform, they have an average investment rate of 13%, and they currently have 25,000 euros of loans available for investment. Bankar has also applied for loan extensions because they provided extensions to their customers as well. As you know, in Spain, the coronavirus was quite hardly hit, and a lot of businesses and people were affected by it, not just because of the, let's say, illness, but because of layoffs and all the economic consequences of the disease. However, we still see that the company is in line with the funds in transit status and with the let's say financial healthiness status. It is also very good thing that the company did is that they launched a website where investors can verify the information on the peer-to-peer platforms which they invested in, and to confirm that these loans were actually loans issued by Bankar. It's of course this is a let's say a consequence of the uh, situation that has arisen in another platform where this company was present. So for this reason, to make sure that investors are fully aware of their loans being, let's say, real loans, this company has issued a separate page where this is present. So here is the link to this page, and it would be really great if other loan originators could also create some kind of other proof points for investors to double check their investments. But now Bankar is a pioneer here, so I very much welcome this activity from their end. Here is the situation of Bankar. All of the portfolio is currently current. It's also a consequence of loan extensions that we processed, because when you process a loan extension, the loan turns from delayed to current because the final repayment date is prolonged. And on the right side, you see the funds in transit chart. The latest one has grown to 8,000 euros, but it is not a big amount, and we think that should be covered by Bankar when the settlement date comes. Now, settlements are handled on Mondays of each week, and today is Thursday as I am recording this video. Moving on, Twinero and Presto. So Twinero and Presto are brands operating under one company name in Spain, and they were founded in 2012, and we have partnerships with them since the very beginning of ViVentor. I think it is since 2017. They are personal payday and installment loans business with average investment rate of 14%, and they currently have 1,032,000 euros of loans available for investment. They applied for loan extensions, and currently they still are failing to pay for funds in transit. So we write here that they are not in line. We receive most of our comments from our investors with questions about this company, so we will spend more time explaining the situation to them here. Currently, we are still working out a plan of repayment of funds in transit. As you will see in the next chart, the number is quite big, and we will have to work hard to make sure that these funds are repaid to our investors. I was informed, that the company has made significant cost cutting on operating expenses and limited disbursement of new loans in order to focus on collections and repayments to investors. They are also received some help from the shareholders of the company to maintain them. So it's not only ViVentor that is funding the company, but of course the shareholder funds are used as well. I have also a message from the manager of Twinero that I would like to share with investors. So the message is that the situation with COVID-19 pandemic affected many countries in the world, and specifically Spain, which still experience high number of cases. Moreover, this week Spanish Parliament prolonged emergency state in the country till May 24th, 2020. Most businesses are shut down, and huge number of employees were laid off in the past months. All of that negatively affects repayment behavior and leads to shortage of liquidity. Twinero has made significant optimization program and implemented harsh cost cutting during April, and will now focus on repayments to investors. Shareholder is also stepping in to help manage the costs. All investors shall receive interest for the period of delay. So basically it's a message that I also am telling you, that all our funds in transit are with interest. First repayments for the funds in delay, I am promised, will come next week. Funds in transit will come next week. and more information about the plan of how the full amount of funds in transit will be repaid is also coming in the next days, and we will release it in our channels, Facebook, our blog, and also emails to investors. Unfortunately, right now I was really hoping that I could get you a concrete repayment schedule for how these funds in transit will be repaid. But for now, I will only share with you the numbers that we have right now. Uh, so. Portfolio of Twinero on the ViVentor platform is that only 10% of loans are in current state, that they are not late. 90% on portfolio is delayed by either 1 to 30 days or 31 to 60 days. So it basically reflects the situation on the collection side of the company. So a lot of extensions, a lot of unpaid debt on their end, and in turn a lot of funds in transit that has risen ever since we implemented the feature and has not been still repaid to our investors. But as you know, the company has good, strong shareholders, and when the company will prepare a plan how to repay these funds, I hope it will come in the next few days, and we will immediately share this plan with you. So once again, I'm informed the company is focusing mainly on collection and maintaining the business at a minimal state with absolutely minimum number of employees and no extra costs, and mainly focusing on collection of portfolio and repaying to investors. So this is the current state of Twinero, and the next few weeks or months will show how the debt to ViVentor investors will be repaid. So currently it's like that. When we will have concrete numbers with dates, we will share it definitely with you. I hope to have it in the next few days. Kviku. Kviku is a company from Russia. We had also a webcast with Kviku a few weeks ago with Nikita, the founder of the company. So you are also welcome to view that webcast in more detail to get more understanding of how the loan originator is dealing with the situation and what problems they are facing. One of the okay, let's maybe first of all go through the numbers, and then I'll go jump into the description. So company was founded in 2013, and we have partnership with them since 2019. It's a personal installment loan business in Russia, which offers loans for investment at up to 14%, and they have loans available for investment in big amount. It's about it's more than 2 million euros right now on the primary market. The company has applied for extensions, but as I said in the beginning, we currently are not able to process their requests because of technical problems, not problems, but technical difficulties. It is specific case for Kviku. They have not regular predictable dates of installments. It's a, let's say, custom schedule for each loan that they are creating. For this reason, it takes us it builds us extra difficult to simply maintain this loan extension in our records. So for this reason, we are just not satisfying their requests, not for some other reasons right now. And nevertheless, the company is paying for funds in transit on time. And here you have the situation of Kviku loans on the ViVentor platform. 58% of the loans, or 800,000 euros of loans, are in current state. 41% are late of 1 to 30 days, and just 1% is late later than that. As you see from the chart, they have accumulated quite a lot of funds in transit. During the first few weeks or when this was happening, we had also a technical problem on the side of the company. Maybe it's even political problem, is that the country from there where the money was coming, and it was coming from Kazakhstan, because that's where they keep their treasury funds, was not allowing to make a lot of bigger amounts of currency conversion from one country, from currency to another, for managing the liquidity situation in the country. So yeah, as crazy as that may seem. So the funds were there, but they were simply not allowed to transfer them in bigger amount by the government. But later the situation has been resolved, and we are now receiving, as you see, regular repayments from Kviku, and they are covering all the settlements that they have towards our investors on time. During that period, which has accumulated, we are calculating interest, and all investors will receive interest for funds in transit that are later than usual. Lenno, our next loan originator, sorry. Lenno is a country from Bulgaria. They have been founded in 2012. We have partnership with Lenno since 2017. It's a personal payday and installment loan business with average investment rate of 10%, and we currently have 10,000 euros available for investment. The company has applied for loan extensions, and funds in transit state of the company is that they are in line with the payments. Most of portfolio of Lenno is current. Just a few loans are late. And as you see from the chart here, they are paying for all the funds in transit on time. CBC, or KFP formerly, is a company in Poland which was founded in 2014, and we have partnerships since 2019. It's a business installment loans company with average investment rate of up to 15%, and they have almost 800,000 euros available for investment today. They have applied for loan extensions as well as most of our loan originators, and they have currently paying for all of the funds in transit for all of the settlements. So most of the portfolio is current. Only 24,000 euros are later than are delayed 1 to 30 days, and 25,000 is delayed for 31 to 60 days. And they have 6,000 euros which are still in transit, and they should cover it beginning next week. Okay, Forza and Kreddy companies from Macedonia. It's the same brands operated by another company in another country, which you saw previously. Company was founded in 2016, and we have partnerships with them since 2019, since last year. It's again a personal payday and installment loan business with average investment rate from up to 13%. And they have currently 289,000 euros available for investment. They have applied for loan extensions. They haven't paid all the funds in transit funds on time. However, they should repay all outstanding funds in transit with interest within coming days. Again, it is a difficult situation right now for them, but they have managed to collect funds externally and should pay to our investors maybe even this week. If not, then sometimes some days during next week. That's how we are informed by the management of the company. Yeah, so as you see, most of the portfolio for Forza and Kreddy Macedonia is late, and the funds in transit has been growing with some small repayments previously, but as we push them and we try to arrange for all of the repayments to be done on time, we got a let's say indication that these debts will be covered for our investors in the coming few days. And until that period, all the funds that were accumulated for our investors will be with interest at the same level at which the investment into the loans was made. Seymoure. Seymoure is a personal mortgage loan business from Spain, founded in 2014, and we have partnerships with them since 2017. They have average investment rate of 10% and currently 52,000 euro of loans available for investment. They have applied for loan extensions as well, and we see that they are paying for funds in transit on time. So yeah, most of the loans are in current state, and they are in only 19% of the loans are delayed. But as you see from the numbers, the overall portfolio of the company is not so big on ViVentor, and not a lot of funds in transit. Just one small amount that was last week, which was immediately covered by the company. MyCredit Kazakhstan is a company in Kazakhstan, founded in 2018 with partnerships since 2019. It's a personal payday loans business with average investment rate of 14%, and they have currently 442,000 euros still available for investment on a ViVentor platform on primary market. What is the latest activity with MyCredit? Here it is. So we have also received application for loan extensions virtually on all of the portfolio of the company. Although they are still not paying for funds in transit for us, as you will see in the next slide. This is basically because the company was forced, maybe you can say, to fully follow moratorium of repayments in Kazakhstan, which was a government decree, which we were also received from them and then translated into local language and read through. It basically says that all lending institutions in Kazakhstan must provide extensions for loans if these loans were requested by the borrowers. And this moratorium of repayments is lasting until 15th of June. And we extended virtually all of the portfolio on the platform until that date. Nevertheless, until that date, the company has accumulated a significant amount of funds in transit. And with this company, we already managed to agree on a repayment schedule, how they will cover this amount. This repayment schedule was created so that the company is able to maintain the current business, not go into let's say default, but still able to collect the funds and to repay to our investors. And during this period, we will be calculating interest for our investors as well. So funds in transit amount, which is right now, I will show in the next slide, will be repaid in total in 7 installments during the period starting from May 15th until August 14th, with the interest of 14% during this period. So this is the deal we managed to agree with the company. And here is the situation which you see here. Now, of course, portfolio you see is current, but it is not because it basically because all of the portfolio is extended to June 15th. So until that day, it will stay current. And the company will be paying for both this portfolio and for current funds in transit during the period that I described. So as you see now, it is reached virtually 450,000 euros. But well, we have a deal, we have a plan, and we have a deal that is also paying interest to our investors. The company has confirmed that with these repayment schemes, they shall be able to administrate this debt and repay to our investors. So let's wait and see how they are making those repayments and make our decisions how to proceed and whether to take more actions after that. So this is the deal that we have with MyCredit right now. Prasiskolinau.lt. Prasiskolinau.lt is a company in Lithuania. founded in 2009, and partnership with them we have since 2019. It is a personal installment loan business with an average investment rate of 12%, and they have currently 99,000 euro loans available on ViVentor platform primary market. They have also applied for loan extensions, and we don't see any problems with funds in transit from this company as of now. The portfolio is about 100,000 euros, and they have 82,000 of those are in current state, and 20,000 is in delay state from 1 to 30 days. Funds in transit, as you see, is fluctuating up to 2,000 euros, which is normal, and they are not delaying any payments to us as of now. Yeah, and basically this covers the first part of my webcast today. The first part is the overview of our situation on ViVentor, and also overview of how our loan originators are dealing with the current situation. As you saw from the description and from the numbers, some of them are dealing quite good. Some of them have liquidity or financial problems due to how they were maybe dealing with the business before the crisis, how much preparations they made, how well they handled the situation. Of course, each business is different, and our view is that we want to make sure that all our investors receive money for their investments, and all our investors receive money with interest. So these two targets we have, and all the activities that we are making, delays of payments, various special deals like with MyCredit, for example, or if these funds in transit functionality by itself is designed to make it so that loan originators are still able to maintain the business and to repay in installments, at least to our investors, because the alternative is basically to initiate court proceedings, close down the company businesses, and try to get direct claims to end borrowers. I think this is a, first of all, expensive process. It will take a long time, and it will definitely not mean that we will be able to get all the funds from investors. From what I see with all our loan originators with which we talked, is that all of them are willing to continue the business and not to close it down right now. And when the company is willing to continue business, it means that they're also willing to raise money right now, either on investors, not right now, but in the future, in the nearest future, there will be interest to still be, let's say, attractive investment objects to investors. For this reason, they are all interested to repay to our investors. That is how I see the situation. And when I see it like that, we are willing to make certain discounts, not on interest side, but at least on a payment deadline side, to make it easier for companies to still maintain the business and also to pay to our investors with interest. So I hope that I do hope that all this falls in line with your understanding of the platform. If not, I'm sorry about that, and I'm ready to discuss it with you individually. With if you would like to have some, if you have some ideas of how better to resolve the situation, or you would like to have some other arrangements, maybe individual arrangements with the loan originators, feel free to contact me, and we can have those discussions individually. Really welcome to do that. So now let's move on to the other part of our webcast today, which is Slido questions. I took the liberty of cutting and pasting those questions from Slido to this presentation. That's for easier reading. We covered all of those questions here, and I grouped them in these slides so that we can save some time on discussing them and maybe for consistency reasons. So let's jump in. Alec is asking about transparency on each loan originator, how much in pending, how much it changed in week. Without this, he feels being cheated. Will it ever be published weekly? So yes, as you see, and Anonymous is asking us, can we have more transparency from loan originators and get audited financial reports yearly? Shouldn't this be a requirement even at some point? So to answer first question, I think this webcast basically covers the topic that was asked by Alec, and what I want to say is that these slides we will share on our website, and also we will keep them updated on a constant basis so that you can see not only today's status but also the status of how our loan originators are dealing with funds in transit and with repayments to investors moving on. And talking about more transparency and audited financial reports, it's definitive yes. And most of the financial reports that we have from our loan originators, you can see on our loan originator page on ViVentor.com. And we continue to collect information from our loan originators, and we will keep it updated on our website we hope to have it on a quarterly basis. Other three questions are about Atlantis Financiers. What is the situation with Atlantis Financiers? My impression is that they have a few larger customers, like the payrolling company. Are those stable and paying? So here's the comment from Atlantis Financiers on that, is that they are stable, and they have a diverse investment portfolio. They do not only refinance the business on ViVentor, they also have shareholder funds invested into the platform, into the company. They have this payroll company is now also focusing on hiring people for hospitals and government institutions, which are stable and paying by definition. And they even see that which is interesting actually, is that they see that some of the applications that they got from the customers are even increasing in quality, because previously those companies maybe were not so keen on getting external funding, but now already are applying for Atlantis Financiers as well. So in general, the situation is positive for the company, to answer this question. Would be great to get more details on the invoices we finance via Atlantis Financiers, especially on the companies that stand behind the loans. I'll ask Lex from Atlantis maybe to share this information, if it's possible, to see who are the debtors of the company, like in more detail, as far as the confidentiality goes. But as far as we know, and as far as we were shown, the numbers and the documents, is that a lot of when you go into the invoice financing business, it's not so much about the customer who you are financing, but about the debtor of the invoice that you are financing, who will be actually paying for the invoice. And the company is selecting is getting benefit on that. The companies who are their customers are actually small companies, but with good debtors, like government institutions, hospitals, and big infrastructure construction companies. So in general, they are able to actually finance those strong companies based in the Netherlands and Belgium to support the business, which is, I think, a very good business concept. What are the developments in the Netherlands, Belgium, in the SME sector? How is Atlantis Financiers managing the situation? Delays, liquidity for buybacks. So here's a comment again from the manager and founder of Atlantis Financiers, Lex Gillen. At present, the restaurants and contact professions, like professions which require contact, such as hairdressers and beauty salons, are mainly affected, but they do not finance those sectors as they do not have any business-to-business activities, and therefore they are not affected by this situation. The rest of the business continues reasonably well. Uh, they monitor the situation on a daily basis and see which sectors are now good for financing and offer sufficient basis for possible regress. However, as I said, the quality of applications is getting considerably higher because companies that were healthy for the crisis now have also funding needs, and for that reason they are well funded and and have good collections and are able to pay for all their commitments on time. So there are no mention of delays in the Netherlands right now, and it's not necessary for them to make any special reservations, and there is still sufficient liquidity for them as a company. So two questions about Twinero. So what is the specific situation with the loan originator Twinero from Spain? Please make public numbers of paid, non-paid total payments, like Mintos weekly report. And another question that Twinero does not pay. Why is there no information in the primary market for investors? I think you're referring to similar information which we released last year about Forti when they were in default. Currently, we still see that the company is able to pay, and they have strong shareholders who should be able to support the company throughout the time. And we see that they are making certain arrangements to be able to facilitate the funds in transit debt. And for this reason, we still see that there is no need for this action. But as I said in the beginning, we are every day, even multiple times per day, in the talks with the companies and are monitoring the situation very closely. So I am assuring you that we will not be making any delay in information. Whenever we get some red flags about this, you will be the first to know about this. And the rest about the situation about Twinero, what are the payments and how they are paying or not paying for them on time. I think I explained in detail in the previous slides of my presentation. Feel free to get back to that or read it afterwards later in the attachment. As well, reach out to us and ask any questions that you would like to be answered specifically about your particular investments, if there are any. We will be happy to answer you what we know. Another question: as the dust starts to settle, do we have a bit more clarity which loan originators, loan types, countries face more and which less challenges in the next 1-3 months? Well, it's not the easy question to answer. If somebody would know, then probably would be very rich. So and I'm not in a position to give advice to invest in a particular loan originator or not invest into another loan originator. So that is not what I would like to do. But in general, how I see the situation is that in any case, when you want to make investment into some risky product like a loan, you have to understand and take into account what collaterals and what securities do you have as an investor for this loan. And of course that relates to and is reflected in the interest of the loan. So the higher the rate, the higher the risk, the less the collateral. So of course, if investors who are willing to lower the risk of investments should focus on loans with on loans with lower interest rates and with more collaterals. And those who still see that the situation is good enough for them and are still willing to take same risks as they were willing to take before the corona crisis, we have those loans available for investment here as well with higher rates. And that's basically the same rules still apply. The lower the rate, the lower the risk. You see that the ranges of investment on ViVentor platform are from 9% to 15%. So even 9% is a big amount to compare it if you compare it with alternative investment options like bank deposit or stuff like that. But of course, we cannot compare our industry to bank deposit because it is a high risk investment market. So probably I will not answer this question as expected, but this is the best answer that I could give for the time being. FBI 22 is asking about KFP and Monify. Who announced extensions while Moment Credit was downgraded on other platforms. Can we expect ViVentor specific deals with these loan originators? So yes, for all of these companies, we will be implementing loan extensions as well. As I discussed them all in our previous slides, so feel free to get back to my description and also, let us know if you have any individual questions that need answering on, in particular, about our loan originators. Pavel is asking, did you think about group guarantee from DFI? It would gain a lot of trust to you because all loan originators from Digital Finance International Group are quite young. Good question. This is actually, as far as I know, was discussed, and it's still, would provide much more credibility for the companies. But now, in face of coronavirus crisis, this is put on hold. Of course, later in a few months, who knows? Maybe this will come back, and our investors will be able to have even safer investments into loans with guarantee from mother company. A Forti issue is going on for a very long time now. Would like to have an update including information about why the loans can be traded on secondary market. Yeah, as you probably know, we cannot discuss in public the deal because of restrictions that we made, that we took to protect also investors and interests of the loan originator. And the last message which our investors got from us who have invested into this loan originator is still in effect. All the actions that we mentioned there, we are still doing. There is still no actual progress that we would like to report to you. We could report to you. Currently, we are still also in discussions with the company. They came back from let's say silence, and we have some ongoing discussions with them, but it's still not satisfactory to us, and we will be making update on the situation to our investors who invested into our 40 loans next week when we have pre-agreed communication with the loan originator. So basically we have to inform them about the communication prior to releasing it into public. So this information you will be receiving next week. And why the loans can be traded on secondary market is because of status of the loan originator, who is now in a restructuring state, as you know, and we do not. There is actually not much to trade because the whole portfolio has been restructured into a plan which has been communicated to investors. So for this reason, we want to follow the agreement that we have. However, if you are a big investor into the company and you would like to get some kind of individual arrangement with them, we can get you in touch with them and you can discuss your private matter directly. So that is definitely an option which I, as a marketplace operator, can accommodate for you. So feel free to contact to us and we will see if certain arrangements can be made for you. But update on the overall situation as we see it coming will come next week. Currently, we have very strong legal instruments in place with which we are taking action. but it is a longer process because it is a legal process, and we are now in the unfortunate status that it's no physical contact. You have to take, and all the procedures are taking longer than usual, so it takes days, weeks to get a result. But every day we're doing actions in that area, I assure you. Spain was particularly hardly hit. Any news on Bancar and other Spanish loan originators? So yeah, Spain was hit, one of the hardest hit countries in Europe of COVID-19 virus, and the economic status, of course, of this country is significantly damaged proportionally. I explained about the status of Bancar, Twinero, Seymoure, the loan originators coming from that country earlier on. Feel free to roll back and see what is the state, or read about them on our blog release with this attachment later on. Uh, from 27th of April, I had cash just from Kreddy BA. My portfolio is short term. What other loan originators are doing with payments, as all the payments from them are in transit? So as you saw, not all of the payments are in transit. Yes, some are in transit. A big amount is in transit, actually, to be fair. We, as I saw, as I shown, are dealing with the situation as best we can, pushing loan originators to pay to us. They of course have other creditors, and we all of them are fighting between themselves who gets to be repaid first. We have a strong position in communication, which I'm doing now. I think all of our loan originators are interested in getting uh, external funding later on, because this crisis will pass, and we already see that it is passing for some of our loan originators. And if they wish to do that, they need to show that they are able to pay to the investors even in bad times. And when you see how a company is operating in bad times, you as an investor probably can make certain conclusions that they are a worthy investment object or not. And with this is, I think, our one of the strongest pressing points, to get the money not through a non, let's say, legal course of action, which we are still doing with all our loan originators, besides the one of 40, which I explained to you earlier on. Lenno did not put new loans on the market for some time now. Are they planning to be still active on ViVentor in the future? Yeah, they did not do that so much. They are putting some loans to maintain a relationship with the investors and to show them that they are still there. But so far, they are not needed. They are not in need for external funding, and for this reason, we do not have a lot of Lenno loans on the platform right now. That's the information we have from Lenno. Are loan originators realistic about their plans to deal with this crisis, or some are too optimistic? Are they prepared for an L-shaped prolonged economic scenario? I haven't seen a overly optimistic loan originator, and I have talked to all of them. I see basically realists, people who are in a tough state, people who are dealing, who have to make very, how to say, quick and strong decisions to continue doing their business, which most of them started themselves. And I see a lot of committed people who are committed to continuing their operations and to deal with the crisis. And most of them even have some good preparations, some, let's say, earlier uh, earlier funds that they have prepared for the bad cases that should happen, which is good to see in young entrepreneurs and young companies in general. And so far, we see that most of them should be able to, all of them should be able to repay their debt to investors. I don't know about prolonged scenario, but for now it should be happening. Of course, if the situation with the L and the bottom of the L is a really long time, like I don't know, 6 months or year or even more, then of course it's another picture. But now I think nobody is looking at a absolutely pessimistic scenario. We're still seeing that in general the uh, market of need for credit is there, and it will always be there. People will want to borrow, businesses will want to borrow, and they are borrowing and continuing to borrow, and they are repaying what they borrow, and this is how this business is continuing. So it's a matter of operational management, how you manage the business, how well you manage to grow when is necessary, and how well are you managing to shrink when is necessary. Lay off people, get rid of external certain expenses, and shrink the company to an absolute minimum when it's like this. So these some of our loan originators have to take really tough decisions right now, and they are taking them. So no optimists, let's say, that are looking at it through a crisis, through a pink glasses, but mostly realists who are dealing with the situation at hand. Uh, did some loan originators find extra liquidity funding source? Is there any positive news from certain loan originators that can increase confidence of investors? So, of course, not all of our loan originators are funding their businesses only at ViVentor. So most of them have external funding from other sources or have strong shareholders. DFI companies, for example, are funded at ViVentor by insignificant amount. I mean, these Forza Kreddy companies, Twinero and MyCredit, of course, have most of the funding coming from ViVentor, but they still have all of these companies have strong shareholders who are supporting companies' operations, but of course are pushing them to first of all tackle the situation themselves by shrinking the business and focusing on collections. And from positive news from loan originators, I think I explained most of them, how some companies are dealing, how some companies have business models that are, let's say, building more positivity to investors, like collaterals in place, and some companies are doing the good work on funds in transit repayments, which you can see now on statistics, and make your own conclusions from it. So yeah, so in general, the situation is like this. Pavel is asking why all my 30 plus DPD loans from my credit became current during the night. Well, this is basically because of the loan extensions that we implemented. So MyCredit has extended their loans to their borrowers following the moratorium of Kazakhstan Republic, and consequently they have provided us a list of borrowers with whom they agreed to extend the loans, to extend the loan repayments, and have requested us to do the same for the loans that are listed on the ViVentor platform, and we followed this request. And this turned out that some investors who saw the loans that are in delay became current because the end repayment date was postponed. For my credit case, it was postponed to June 15th. And as I said, my credit is also not able currently to pay in full the funds in transit, but we have agreed that they will repay it in installments. And during the period when they will be repaying those installments, for the unpaid amount, we will be calculating interest rate of 14%. Okay, question to us as a platform. When is a ViVentor going to publish audited financial reports? It would be a very important step in transparency and trustworthiness. I fully agree with this statement. We have already submitted a request to all Big Four companies to get a quote of audit. Currently, there is auditing time actually in the market, and all of them are focusing mostly on that. So we haven't received yet quotes on it. If we will fail to receive good quotes from the Big Four companies, I would like to have a Big Four company to give us an audit to provide even more trustworthiness for us. If it will not be possible right now for cost reason or time reason, we will try to find a company that is still respectable enough by our investors and to make an audit of our finances and operations through it. So it is coming, but give us some time and we will publish it. This is probably regards to Via Payments, which is a very young, small payment provider. Is there any plan to us to use an established solid bank to handle investors' money? Of course, I would love to have a established solid bank to handle investors' money, and every peer-to-peer platform would have to do that. But let's be fair. There are two things maybe that needs to discuss. And I am a former banker. I was working at SEB, which is a Swedish financial institution, Swedish bank, which you can say is a solid established bank. And I was working there for 14 years, so I really know what it is. And currently, when we are still, let's say, fintech young company, and we don't operate still with a license, you can imagine that established solid banks are not so keen to handle investors' money of companies who still operate without a license. So in most cases, that's a stopper for peer-to-peer platforms in this area right now, because we are simply too small for solid and established banks. But definitely we can make improvements in our payment providers. And another bullet point that I would like to touch here is that established solid banks don't necessarily mean that they have the technical capacity to handle our funds, because we need a really not only, let's say, solid and established bank, but the one that has a strong technical platform to handle it. We need an API connection. We need a possibility to get updates on the balances of our investors on a, let's say, real-time basis, and not all of the old school banks are able to provide that technology. So in this case, we are both technically there is a gap, and also business-wise there is a gap right now. But of course, there are possibilities that we can look into. I mentioned earlier that right now we have finished the discussions, and now we are doing technical implementation with another payment service provider that will be an alternative one, or maybe the only one that we will be using. It's a French payment service provider who is working with other platforms. They're called Lemonway, and I think it will be even a better alternative for our investors. Later on, when we receive a license of financial brokerage company, we will definitely be looking at an alternative that will be even more trustworthy to handle investors' money. But for now, neither us nor any other platform that I know of would be able to. It is quite difficult to get a relationship with a bank, which is, let's say, real bank, not a payment institution, to handle the funds until we get a license, and until we get, let's say, completely clear path to do our activities. What about interest of funds in transit? Seems there was a talk about it. Implementing funds in transit was quick. I'm just giving money for free now. Okay, so in this presentation, I mentioned multiple times that the funds in transit are with interest, and we are not only showing it right now for technical reason. When with repayments for funds in transit will be made, investors will receive these funds with interest. The interest rate will be the same as the rate at which the loan was invested at. You are not giving your money for free. Oh, here it is. So I think I covered not most, but all of the questions from our investors. And I also covered the part about our loan originators and the situation of how ViVentor is dealing with the situation right now. So I hope that this brings more clarity to you as our investors, and that you will stay with us as you did so far. We really appreciate that, and I know that you will not find all your answers that you wanted to have here right now, and I wish that you did, but please bear with us, and I assure you that every day we're doing mostly only those activities that are related to uh, ensuring that our investors' funds are protected and that they are not lending the money for free and that they are getting back their funds with interest from all our loan originators. And as you saw, some of our loan originators are dealing with the situation pretty well. Some of them are not dealing with the situation as good as we would like them to, but we are in constant conversation with them, and we are trying to find a good arrangement that would fit their needs, their possibilities, and the needs of our investors, so that all parties are satisfied. And we will only go the legal way when we see that there is absolutely no other option to find a business solution. Good thing for our investors is that while you are still waiting for your funds to arrive, you are sure that we are calculating interest for those days. So yes, this is mainly what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you for your time, and hopefully next webcast that we will do will be on a brighter topic. And I wish you all to stay safe, to stay healthy, to in the meantime, while we are still dealing with the crisis, to also not forget to keep your money at work. I know that there are multiple alternative investment opportunities right now, not only peer-to-peer investment, of course. But don't forget this part as well, because it's important for us that investors are here with us as well. As you saw from my slides, that there are still quite a lot of funds available for investment. So pick your investments and to make your decision. Thank you very much once again, and see you again in our next webcast.